अपेतमन्युं भगवान् धनेश्वरः
तत्रागतश्चारणयक्षकिन्नरैः
तत्रागतचारणयक्षकिन्नरैः
संस्तूयमानो न्यवदत्कृताञ्जलिम्
संस्तूयमानो न्यवदत्कृताञ्जलिम्. Translation. The great sage Maitreya said, "My dear Vidura, Dhruva Maharaj's anger subsided and he completely ceased killing yakshas. When Kubera, the most blessed master of the treasury, learned this news, he appeared before Dhruva. While being worshipped by yakshas, kinnaras, and charanas, he spoke to Dhruva Maharaj, who stood before him with folded hands.
So Dhruva Maharaj's anger subsided. Dhruvam nivrittam pratibudhya vaishasad apetamanyum. Apetamanyum means anger reducing, subsiding of the anger. Pratibudhya, on learning that Dhruva's anger had subsided and Dhruva had stopped killing, nivrittam. So at that time, Bhagavan Daneshwaraha Tatra Agataha. Daneshwaraha, Kubera appeared there. Charana Yaksha Kinnara, praised by Charana Yaksha and Kinnara, he spoke to Dhruva, who stood with folded hands, Kritanjalim, who spoke with Dhruva with, was standing there with folded hands. So Prabhupada, there is no purport here. So Kubera is speaking. Dhanada uvacha
Dhanada uvacha
Bhobo kshatriya dayada
Bhobo kshatriya dayada
Parituštosmi tenaga
Parituštosmi tenaga
Yatvam pitamahadeshad
Yatvam pitamahadeshat
Vairam dustyaja matyajaha.
Vairam dustyaja matyajaha. The master of the treasury, Kubera, said, "O sinless son of a Kshatriya, I am very glad to know that under the instruction of your grandfather, you have given up your enmity. Although it is very difficult to avoid, I am very pleased with you."
So Anaga was sinless one. Kshatriya Dayada was son of a warrior. Parituštosmi, I am very pleased with you because you have given up the hatred. You have given up the hatred which is difficult to give up. Dustyajam Vairam. Atyajaha, you have given up. Pitamaha Deshat, on the instruction of your grandfather. So you see, inimical feeling is many times very difficult to give up. Especially for a Kshatriya to give up the revenge is very difficult. Unless the Kshatriya, his Vaishnava attitude becomes higher than the Kshatriya attitude, it is difficult to give up. For a Brahmana, the most important quality is forgiveness. Kshatriya should not forgive. Kshatriya to deal punishment. But here Dhruva Maharaj was going into the zone of excessive anger, excessive violence. So there is a story in the Mahabharata also, maybe next time I'm not all the details I'm not remembering, but there's a nice story which Bhishma Dev tells in the Anushasana Parva. How the Kshatriyas, many times they remember the mistakes of their enemies, even after many years. They continue to keep that feelings of revenge. So that is why if a Kshatriya is a Vaishnava, when the Vaishnava mood is higher than the Kshatriya, then he can overcome the feelings of revenge. Otherwise, the Kshatriya role is prominent, very difficult for them to give up the revenge towards the enemies. So here, Kubera was very pleased. And we also see that in the material world is so unsteady, even exalted devotees, sometimes they also get affected. Dhruva Maharaj is an exalted devotee, but he got affected and he became excessively angry. But the nature of the exalted devotees is that because they had once surrendered to Krishna, Krishna will definitely send some representative to bring the devotee back into the track. And those devotees, they bounce back and they are receptive to the superiors and they hear the voice of Krishna coming to those devotees, and then they refrain from that excessive violence. So then Kubera further says, "Na bhavan avadid yadya, na bhavan avadid yakshan,
न भवान् अवदित्यक्षान्
na yaksha bhrataram tava,
न यक्षा भ्रातरं तव
kala eva hi bhutanam,
काल एव हि भूतानां
प्रभुरप्यय भावयोः."
प्रभुरप्ययभावयो. Translation: Actually, you have not killed the Yakshas, nor have they killed your brother, for the ultimate cause of generation and annihilation is the eternal time feature of the Supreme Lord.
So Kubera is saying that na bhavan avadit, you did not kill the yakshas. Na yaksha bhrataram tava, nor did the yakshas kill your brother. Kala eva hi bhutanam, time is the master of destruction. Krishna is the cause of all causes. Prabhurapyaya bhavayoh, and creation for all beings. Swayambhu Manu also told in the previous chapter. Different people tell about what is the cause of happiness and distress. So when the Kubera addressed Dhruva as sinless, you see the Kubera began addressing Dhruva by the word Anaga, sinless. The Dhruva Maharaj considered himself responsible for killing so many yakshas. But Kubera, he began with the word Anaga, was sinless person. But Kubera assured him that factually he had not killed any of the yakshas, therefore he was not at all sinful. You did your duty as a king, because as it is ordered by the laws of nature. Nor should you think that your brother was killed by the yakshas. He also died in due course of time according to the laws of nature. So eternal time is ultimately responsible for annihilation and generation. You are not responsible for such actions. So if we see the shloka, Kubera is saying that eternal time is responsible. Bali Maharaj says to Indra, it comes in the 8th canto, the shloka. Bali Maharaj says that Sangrame Vartamananam Kalachodita Karmanam Kirtir Jayo Jayo Mrityu Sarvesham Syur Anukramat. Bali Maharaj replied, all these people present in the battlefield are certainly under the influence of eternal time. And according to their prescribed activities, they are destined to receive fame, victory, defeat, and death. one after another. Tadidam kala rashanam jagat pashyanti surayah na hrishyanti na shochanti tatra yuyam apanditaha. Seeing the movements of time, those who are cognizant of real truth neither rejoice nor lament for different circumstances. And then he tells Indra, because you are jubilant due to your victory, you should be considered not very learned. You are not very learned because you are very jubilant in your victory. Because people become victorious or get defeated at the appropriate time according to their karma. Because you are getting elated because your victory, you are not very learned. The learned people, they are equipoised. They neither get elated nor get depressed. There is also another beautiful shloka which comes in, I think, 7th canto. Just let me see if I can locate it. Seventh canto, 13th chapter, 6th shloka. Nabhinande dhruvam mrityum adhruvam vasya jeevitam kalam param pratiksheta bhutanam prabhavapyayam. Since the material body is sure to be vanquished and the duration of one's life is not fixed, neither death nor life is to be praised. Rather, one should observe the eternal time factor in which the living entity manifests himself and disappears. So, one should observe the time factor, eternal time factor, because of that living entity appears and disappears. So, this shloka, it is said, it's advised that one should observe the eternal time factor. Some people, they stress so much about death and they say everything is temporary. Whereas other people, they say that just live life to the fullest extent. Enjoy your life. They only emphasize the life. Some people, they only speak about death. But Prabhupada says that both of them are fools and rascals. It is advised that one observe the eternal time factor, which is the cause of the material body's appearance and disappearance. And that one observe the living entity's entanglement in the time factor. Anadi karma pale padi bavarnava jale taribare nadeki upaya. One should observe the activities of eternal time, which is the cause of birth and death. Before the creation of the present millennium, the living entities were under the influence of the time factor, and within the time factor, the material world comes into existence and is again annihilated. So then, Kubera further says, Aham tvam partha dhir
Aham tvamiti aparthahi dhir
ajnanat purushasya hi
ajnanat purushasya hi
swapni vabhatya tadyanad
swapni vabhyat dhyanad
yaya bandha viparyayau.
yaya bandha viparyayu. Misidentification of oneself and others as I and you on the basis of the bodily concept of life is a product of ignorance. This bodily concept is the cause of repeated birth and death, and it makes us go on continuously in material existence.
So, Kubera is saying that fourth shloka. From ignorance, from absorption in the body, man's intelligence thinking of I and mind like a dreamer, by which the bondage and suffering arise. And it becomes useless. So atat dhyanat means from thinking only of the body, from absorbing oneself in the body. Atat dhyanat. From this arises the samsara, and the opposite of the jiva's knowledge and bliss, that is ignorance and suffering. Yaya bandha viparyayav. So the root cause is the absorption in the body. So the conception of I and you as separate from each other is due to our forgetfulness of our eternal relationship with the Supreme Personality of God. So in the material platform, people keep differentiating. I belong to this caste, you belong to that caste. The differentiating based on the bodily platform, one becomes absorbed in that enmity. It is because we forget the Supreme Personality of God. We forget that all of us are actually parts of the same Supreme Lord. One purport in the Bhagavatam, 3rd canto, in the description of we discussed the description of the child in the womb. There are people who talk about United Nations. But when the child is in the womb, there are certain insects, they are also born from the same place where the child is there. So from that point of view, they are also his brothers. Because sa udaraha. Sodaraha, they are also his brothers because they are also born in the same place. So we talk about, people may speak about unity, United Nations, but the platform or the basis of that unity is a very false, it is not truth. The basis of unity is also based on certain selfish agenda only. It's not a real unity. So Prabhupada said the Supreme Person is the central point and all of us are its parts and parcels, just as hands and legs are the parts of the whole body. When we actually come to this understanding of being eternally related to the Supreme Lord, the distinction which is based on the bodily concept of life cannot exist. The same example can be cited. The hand is the hand and the leg is the leg. But when both of them engage in the service of the whole, there is no such a distinction as the hands and legs, because all of them belong to the body. So therefore, when a living entity is in Krishna consciousness, he goes beyond the conception of I and you. So that is why this shloka comes that aham tvam iti apartadir. The conception of I and me, I and you, the differentiation, a person transcends when a person goes to Krishna consciousness. So the Lord is absolute, therefore the services are also absolute. Hand is working in way, leg is working in another way. The purpose of both the services is the Supreme Lord only. So this is not to be confused with the statement of the Mayavadi philosopher that everything is one. So Mayavadi philosopher, that oneness they speak in a different way. But the oneness we are speaking is that everyone is a part of Krishna. In that sense, there is one oneness. The hand is the hand, leg is the leg, and the body is the body. Yet together, all together, they are one, because there is no difference between the cause and the effect. The effect is non-different from the cause, because the effect comes from the cause. So as soon as the living entity thinks that he is independent, then the conditioned material existence begins. And then he starts thinking in terms of I and you. And then he goes into he keeps dreaming. He keeps dreaming. So therefore the shloka also comes, we see that Agyanat Purushasya hi Swapna iva abati Atat Dhyanat. Swapna iva abati, he keeps dreaming. And so one has to be in Krishna consciousness, his original position, then he can be freed from material bondage. So in the Bhagavatam 7th canto, 5th chapter also, Prahlad Maharaj also in his Gurukul, the Gurukul of the Asuras, they were mainly teaching him about how to make friendship, how to conquer the enemies. They only speak about enemy and friend. They spoke about that kind of teaching. So Prahlad Maharaj, yattatra guruna proktam shushruve anupapatacha na sadhu manasa mene swap Swaparasat Grahashrayam, 7th canto, 5th chapter beginning. Prahlad Maharaj certainly heard the topics of politics and economics taught by the teachers. The political field, definitely these topics are there. One politician was saying that every politician, they have to be, in every small action, they have to be highly calculative. They have to say, oh, if I go to this function, what are the possibilities of me getting votes? Because this function is conducted by this community. This community is prominent here. So therefore, I'm likely to get more votes. If I go to attend this particular wedding, this will be good for political mileage. Or if I go to attend this particular function, it will not be conducive. These many votes will go. The politician, every move he has to be very calculative in terms of getting votes or not. Such type of topics are there in the politics. So Prahlad Maharaj certainly heard and recited the topics of politics and economics taught by the teachers. But he understood that political philosophy involves considering someone a friend and someone else an enemy. And therefore he did not like it. He did not like it. So similarly here, Kubera is saying that when a person is absorbed in the bodily concept of life, one will become absorbed in the thinking of friend and enemy. And then one is simply in the dreaming world because of forgetfulness of Krishna. So one more shloka, with that we will end. Tadgaccha dhruva badram te
Tadgaccha dhruva bhadram te
bhagavantam adokshajam
bhagavantam adhokshajam
sarvabhutatma bhavena
sarvabhutatma bhavena
sarvabhutatma vigraham.
sarvabhutatma vigraham. Translation: My dear Dhruva, come forward. May the Lord always grace you with good fortune. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is beyond our sensory perception, is the supersoul of all living entities, and thus all entities are one without distinction. Begin therefore to render service unto the untranscendental form of the Lord, who is the ultimate shelter of all living entities.
So Kubera is saying that Tad Gaccha, therefore go Dhruva, Badram te, let there be good fortune to you. And Bhagavantam Adokshajam Sarvabhutatma Bhavena Sarvabhutatma Vigraham. Because the verb comes in the next shloka, that is bhajasva, worship the Lord, who is sarvabhutatma bhavena. Worship the Supreme Lord, the Supreme Lord who is beyond our sense perception, the super soul of all living entities, and thus all living entities are one without distinction. Therefore, begin rendering devotional service to the form of the Supreme Lord. So here we see the word is Sarvabhutatma Vigraham. Krishna is having a specific form. Brahma Samhita also says that Sachitananda Vigraha. The living entities are the marginal energy of the Supreme Form. As such, they are not different from the Supreme Form, but at the same time, they are not equal to the Supreme Form. So Dhruva Maharaj is advised here with to render service into the Supreme Form, that we need to include service to other individual forms. Because Sarva Bhutatma Bhavena Sarva Bhutatma Vigraham. Because Krishna's form includes all other forms. Serving Krishna, it includes service to all other individual forms. Watering the root of the tree, it includes watering to every other part of the tree. So the Mayavad conception, they think that because the absolute truth is all pervading, therefore he must be formless. That is rejected here. So all pervading aspect is one of the aspects of the absolute truth. But he also has a form. Absolute truth has a form and yet he is all pervading. Nothing is independent of it. So we'll end here, then we'll continue the next shloka. Next week. Anybody has any questions? Hare Krishna. ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की